about the 6th grade, 5th or 6th grade. And a friend of mine from elementary school had gotten a hold of a pack of cigarettes, and we smoked a whole bunch of them underneath a railroad trestle and didn't feel too good afterwards.
I was 16 years old.
I know I was like 6 years old.
That time I still young man, like a 13, and on the country they had the war, So I stopped smoking 13. I ate 13.
Well, I had a 21-year-old. So it was like when I found out I was 5 months pregnant with her, I quit.
I had to. Our buildings were going smoke-free, and this building went smoke-free, except for in your apartment. So I figured, well, I'm gonna have to be smoke-free if I wanna stay here.
We in the army we smoke a lot, but we had a lot in the village that has a lot of people. They has a temple for that. So the old men they had to decide to tell people that we can quit smoking. So they find some medicine there, and they said 10 days we gonna quit. Said ever want to quit smoking. So lots of people, like 30, 40 people come to time. So I see that I don't quit smoking, but I see they quit smoking. Absolutely, the whole village, whoever want to quit, yeah, they do.
I quit smoking in 1984, which was, I didn't really start smoking until I was 13, on a regular basis. And I quit when I was 33 years old in 1984, so I had about a 20-year run of smoking.
Threatened myself. It was, I quit or I lose my apartment. I quit or I don't get my surgery. I went cold turkey. The threats alone were enough to be the cost of doing it. It's like a $10,000 surgery, or it's a future place to live. You choose. I chose the surgery, and I chose a place to live. Therefore, there is no option. You quit.
Well, I prayed, and I guess cigarettes got too expensive for me. You know, having a couple kids and stuff, and you just can't afford it anymore.
Kind of just took it a day at a time. I didn't go, I'm quitting forever. I didn't have that attitude about it. It was cold turkey. But I didn't put this big emphasis that, if I could just make it till Christmas or Halloween or whatever, just day by day, week by week.
So I call back to friend what I see Laotian in California, say, can you call back? I need some medicine. They say, yes, we still want to do too. I said, please send me one. They send me one because I already know the medicine, what they do and working. And I do exactly what they do. And they send me one, I boil the water that, so 3 cups, and I smoke a lot a day, the time. And I drink 3 cups, so I still feel like, my heart still feel like a smoking, but I throw it out. I don't want to smoking, I hate it. 5 days, somebody's smoking, I can smell, So absolutely, I don't smoking that time to now.
I kind of thought it out. What am I going to do at those periods during the day when I usually have a cigarette? On my coffee break, on my lunch break, after eating, driving home from work. All these typical times during the day where you always have a cigarette and you crave a cigarette. And, one of the things was just, I had in my office, like my little office where I worked, it was small. It was probably a quarter of the size of this room. We had 3 chairs, a table, and a fan. And my partner smoked at the time. He was supportive of me quitting, but I wasn't going to make him quit. And so I thought, well, I'm going to be sitting there talking. I might as well have something to do with my hand, you know, whether it's flipping the pen up in the air, and you know, I probably almost poked his eye out a couple times. But it was something to do with my hand. And eventually I didn't need that all the time, over time. But in the beginning, the first couple months, it helped.
Living in a smoker's paradise. Everybody in the building smoked. Maybe 1 or 2 didn't. So I go outside, and by where we picnic, you get smoke constantly in your face. I go downstairs where we had a relaxation area. You get smoke in your face. You walk outside the door, there is smokers right by the door. You get hit in the face with it. So it's like, if you ain't got any kind of willpower, you ain't gonna quit in a place like that.
Being around other people that smoke. Some of your friends smoke, and then you don't smoke anymore, and it's kind of hard.
Once I made the decision to quit, for me, it wasn't hard, but I really committed to it at that point in my heart. It wasn't just up here. I have to admit, when I was in my teens or 20s, I never even thought there'd be a day later on in my life where I'd be able to quit. I developed new friendships, and most of those friendships were healthy relationships with people that didn't smoke, the vast majority of them. So most of the time I'm around people who don't smoke, and if they did and they come to my place, they're not going to smoke in my apartment. They're not even going to mention it.
I think it's more healthy for them to quit. I think it's less expensive. They have more money to use other things on. It just helps a lot to quit, because you're giving your kids a good example too of not smoking.
Have a reason, have willpower, and don't be right next to smokers constantly. Because as soon as you smell the smoke, you're gonna want to smoke. So you need to stay away from that.
I have my cousin in St. Paul. He smoked a lot, but we go to pick up the apple, and I go down there, and he smoked because he don't want to work, he just want to smoke a lot. And I say, I come to my home and I tell you to do. So he come my home. I still have my medicine a little bit, I make for him. So he drink, and 3 months later he come and he said, "Man, thank you very much. You just yell at me and tell me to drink your water. I quit smoking now." I said, "Oh, that's good for you." He said, "Thank you, thank you."
You gotta want it. They want to go, "I'm tired of this," and you gotta really feel that in your heart. And I think it's then really important, even if you want it as bad as I did, even if you want it, that you give yourself permission to just take it a day at a time, and give yourself permission to know that if you have a craving, that's okay, that's going to be part of the process. And let yourself have that craving, and even talk about it with somebody, if you're with somebody else. And then have those, like we talked about earlier in this interview, having these little silly tricks that I did, because I knew I was going to be in a place for 10 to 15 minutes on a coffee break with a friend or co-worker who smokes, and just having something to do with my hand. Because for years I'd have a cigarette in my hand at that particular point. And it seems kind of trivial, but it wasn't. It really worked for me. And look at what you're gaining. What are you gaining health-wise? What are you gaining monetarily? Because cigarette prices are exorbitant now. What can you do with that money? what do you want to do with that money? To make your, make your life funner or expand your life? There's all kinds of things you can do with that money now. I wouldn't have money for all kinds of stuff that I spend that money on now. In my life, I think would be a lot bleaker and starker than it is now.
I could breathe better. My clothes didn't stink. And my house didn't stink. My cats didn't stink. That smell still smoke. It's just nasty.
I can't United States smoking and cigarettes are expensive and smell. And some people say, hey, you smell cigarette. I don't like, So after that, I quit and so people smoking, I can feel it smell bad, So I just believe what I do it, I quit smoking so easy.
Well, I felt better right away because my clothes weren't smelling like smoke, and the house seemed like it was more fresher. And I don't know, I just, tried to ask other people, not to smoke in my house. And, you're representing your kids too, showing them, oh, mom quit smoking. That's good. They really proud of you of that. My kids were really proud when I stopped smoking.
My breathing was better. Could taste food much better. Didn't feel, even when I was still working, before I went on disability, I could work better without getting tired, had more energy, just a whole lot of, just felt better. And I have noticed in the last 2 years I was smoking, just my breathing getting a little more labored, more colds. I had less colds every year.
I quit smoking so easy.
Healthy.
I feel better. I feel like I can feel my health more. And I just feel better about not smoking because it just means a lot to, my health mainly.
I'm grateful. That's an easy one.